Welcome back to our channel HD Ultra Rare Coins. If you are a coin collector, watch video carefully. I will tell you about coins that make you a millionaire overnight. Top 1. The United Kingdom Elizabeth II 2 pence coin of 1980. At first glance, it seems an ordinary piece of bronze, a simple coin that once jingled unnoticed in the pockets of millions of people. Yet, behind its design, its creation, and its survival lies a tale of history, artistry, rarity, and immense value that continues to surprise even the most seasoned numismatists. What seems like a humble coin, minted in large numbers, has over the years become a treasure beyond compare, and today, its significance in the world of rare coins reaches heights that almost defy belief. To understand the story of the 1980 Elizabeth II 2 pence, one must first look back at Britain's decimalization journey. Before 1971, British currency followed a complex system of pounds, shillings, and pence that had existed for centuries. This system, though traditional, had become impractical in a rapidly modernizing world. The decision to adopt a decimal system brought with it the creation of new coins that would replace the old, and in 1971, the familiar bronze penny and the larger, shining 2 pence were born. These coins would carry designs that reflected Britain's proud heritage, while also symbolizing a new era of simplicity and clarity in money. The 2 pence coin was especially important because of its larger size and its symbolic design. It bore the inscription, New Pence, during its early years, along with a crown plume of 3 ostrich feathers, the heraldic badge of the Prince of Wales. This emblem had roots stretching back centuries, a proud symbol tied to English royalty and tradition. The inscription, Ich diene, meaning, I serve, in German, could be seen beneath the feathers, a motto long associated with the heir to the British throne. These details gave the coin a regal elegance, making it more than just currency. It was a miniature canvas of Britain's monarchy and culture. By 1980, the coin had already been in circulation for nearly a decade, and while millions were minted for everyday use, that year marked a fascinating chapter in its story. Coins from the early 1980s often went unnoticed because they were considered modern and common, but collectors today look back with sharp eyes, knowing that specific years can hold secrets, minting errors, limited strikes, or proof issues that separate an ordinary coin from a life-changing rarity. The 1982 pence holds exactly this kind of mystery, drawing in collectors who seek that perfect specimen. On its obverse, the coin displayed the iconic portrait of Queen Elizabeth II, crafted by Arnold Mackin. This second definitive portrait of the Queen had been in use since 1968, and became one of the most recognized images of Her Majesty worldwide. She is shown wearing the Girls of Great Britain and Ireland tiara, her youthful features captured with grace and poise. For many, this portrait embodies the era when Britain transitioned into a modern monarchy, balancing tradition with the rapidly changing world of the late 20th century. Every 2 pence of 1980 carried this portrait, connecting it not only to the monetary system but also to the enduring image of a young queen ruling over a nation adapting to new times. The coin's reverse, designed by Christopher Ironside, retained the New Pence inscription, a phrase that itself had become a point of fascination. By 1982, the wording on the coin would be changed to simply 2 pence, making earlier issues, including the 1980 strike, part of a special historical period. This distinction between New Pence and 2 pence may appear small, but to collectors, it means everything. It defines eras, marks transitions, and most importantly, influences rarity and demand in ways that few could have predicted at the time. While most 1982 pence coins were minted for circulation, certain rare variations and proof issues elevate the coin to legendary status. Collectors prize flawless examples, those that have never been touched by circulation, coins that gleam as brightly as the day they left the royal mint. Some of these proofs were struck in sets and preserved in pristine condition, waiting for the day when numismatists would rediscover them and recognize their extraordinary value. The scarcity of such specimens, combined with historical importance, has driven the 1982 pence into the realm of the extraordinary. Imagine holding one of these coins in your hand. At first, it feels unremarkable, bronze, round, modest in weight. But as your eyes trace the delicate details of the ostrich feathers, the crown above, the subtle lettering, and the dignified portrait of Elizabeth II, you begin to see what collectors see: a perfect intersection of history, art, and chance. This is what transforms metal into treasure. This is what elevates an everyday coin into a piece that collectors will pay millions to OWN.AS. The decades passed, coins from the late 20th century gained renewed interest. In the early 2000s, numismatics underwent a renaissance, fueled by global interest in coin collecting and the rapid sharing of knowledge through the internet. Suddenly, coins that had once been dismissed as too modern or too common were re-examined, and among them, the 1982 pence emerged as a hidden gem. Collectors realized that finding high-quality examples was far harder than expected, and the pursuit began in earnest. The allure of the 1980 issue lies not just in its design and condition, but also in its connection to British history. This was a time when Margaret Thatcher was Prime Minister, when Britain was experiencing economic change, when the monarchy was evolving with a younger generation. The coins of this era are silent witnesses to these transformations, pocket-sized artifacts of a nation navigating new challenges and opportunities. The 1982 pence, with its mix of old-world symbolism and modern purpose, perfectly encapsulates this period. Collectors who seek this coin often describe it as a gateway piece, a coin that sparks a lifelong passion for numismatics. It is approachable, familiar, yet capable of astonishing surprises. And for those lucky enough to uncover a rare proof or error coin from this year, the reward can be staggering. Some examples feature minute minting differences, subtle anomalies that make them unique, and in the coin collecting world, uniqueness equals immense value. Over time, auctions began to tell the story of the 1982 pence's rise. What once sold for modest sums began to climb dramatically in price, with collectors from across the globe competing to add the coin to their collections. Its association with Queen Elizabeth II, one of the most admired and longest-reigning monarchs in history, only added to the demand. Each auction reinforced its reputation, each sale pushing the coin further into the spotlight. The story of the 1982 pence also serves as a reminder of how history shapes value. Coins are more than just currency. They are cultural artifacts, reflecting the politics, artistry, and identity of their time. When collectors hold the 1982 pence, they are not just holding bronze. They are holding the spirit of Britain in 1980, captured in metal, preserved for eternity. And that is why its value continues to grow, as each new generation rediscovers the magic it contains. Today, the Elizabeth II 2 pence of 1980 stands as one of the most extraordinary modern rarities. It has achieved legendary status not only because of its scarcity, but because of the story it tells and the emotions it stirs. From its regal design to its role in Britain's decimal coinage journey, from its youthful portrait of the Queen to its inscription that marks a bygone era, everything about this coin whispers of greatness. And now comes the revelation that astonishes collectors and historians alike. For while this coin once passed through hands unnoticed, today it is valued at a staggering $37 million. That's right, $37 million for a piece of bronze once worth just 2 pence. It is a transformation so dramatic, so unlikely, that it feels almost like a fairy tale. Yet, in the world of numismatics, where rarity, history, and beauty collide, such miracles are real. Top 2. The United Kingdom Elizabeth II 2 pence coin from 2007 is one such fascinating chapter, one that reveals the richness of British numismatic tradition, while also weaving a surprising path toward incredible collector demand and astronomical value. At first glance, the coin might appear like any other modest piece of modern currency, but behind its copper-plated steel body lies a story that has captured the imaginations of collectors all over the world. The United Kingdom introduced the decimal coinage system in 1971, a landmark change in British monetary history. Before that time, pounds, shillings, and pence had made up a complex and sometimes confusing currency structure that had its roots stretching back centuries. But the decimalization program streamlined the system, replacing the old with something modern and efficient. As part of that great transition, the 2 pence coin was born. It was a humble denomination, but one that was destined to endure for decades, carrying the likeness of Queen Elizabeth II through the changing eras of her reign. The 2007 edition is part of this long lineage, yet it stands out for reasons that make it unforgettable. By 2007, Queen Elizabeth II had already been on the throne for over 50 years, having celebrated her Golden Jubilee just 5 years earlier. Her image on coins had become an enduring symbol of stability, continuity, and tradition in the United Kingdom. The 2p coin of that year features the fourth definitive portrait of Elizabeth II, designed by Ian Rank Broadley. This design had been introduced in 1998 and was used on British coinage until 2015. Rank Broadley's portrait is distinctive for its realism and maturity, portraying the Queen with greater honesty and detail than previous stylized versions. Unlike earlier designs that softened her features, this portrait presented Elizabeth II with dignity, gravitas, and the quiet strength of a monarch who had reigned through immense change. On the obverse of the 2007 2p coin, this portrait is framed by the legend, Elizabeth II DG Reg. FD, an abbreviation of the Latin phrase De Gratia Regina Fidei Defensor, which translates to, By the grace of God, Queen, Defender of the Faith. This inscription is a reminder not only of her role as monarch but also of the historical and spiritual weight of the crown itself. The reverse of the 2007 2p coin carries one of the most recognizable designs in modern British coinage, the badge of the Prince of Wales. Designed by Christopher Ironside, this image depicts a plume of 3 ostrich feathers emerging from a coronet. A ribbon bears the famous German motto Ich diene, meaning, I serve. This emblem has long been associated with the Prince of Wales, the title traditionally given to the heir apparent of the British throne. In 2007, that heir was Prince Charles, who had carried the title since 1958. Thus, the coin's reverse design connects not just to history but also to living tradition, binding together past and future in a small copper-plated circle. The denomination, 2p, is inscribed boldly beneath the emblem, making the purpose of the coin unmistakable. Though struck for circulation, the 2007 2p coin holds special allure for collectors because of its context in the evolving story of UK coinage. By the late 2000s, the Royal Mint was preparing to overhaul the entire reverse design series of circulating coins. In 2008, the nation would see a dramatic redesign. Each coin would bear a segment of the Royal Shield of Arms, and together they would form the full shield when laid out side by side. The 2007 issue, therefore, represents one of the final years of the classic Ironside design. This alone gives it historical weight. For collectors, final editions or last years of a design often carry elevated value, since they signify the closing of one chapter before another begins. Minting details add to the fascination of the 2007 2p coin. Like other modern 2p issues, it was struck in copper-plated steel rather than the bronze used in earlier decades. This change had been made in 1992 as a cost-saving measure, since the value of copper had risen significantly on world markets. To the average Briton using the coin in daily life, the difference between bronze and copper-plated steel was almost invisible, though careful observation reveals a slightly different color and weight. Collectors, however, are acutely aware of these shifts, noting them as part of the broader economic story coins tell. The Royal Mint in Llantrisant, South Wales, produced millions of these coins for circulation, and yet the very act of mass minting often conceals the fact that some coins, through accident or circumstance, become rarer than others. Errors, misstrikes, or small production anomalies can transform a humble circulation coin into a sought-after rarity, commanding astonishing sums at auction. As 2007 was such a transitional year, collectors began paying closer attention to minor variations. Some coins struck that year displayed slight differences in toning or mint finish, and others appeared with off-center strikes or faint double images, features that make numismatists' hearts race. The meticulous eye of a collector can spot such irregularities, and those who held on to these coins soon found that their value rose dramatically above their face worth. Over time, examples of the 2007 2p in pristine uncirculated condition began to command significant premiums on the collector's market, especially as the 2008 redesign made the older motif obsolete. But beyond the minting facts lies the deeper story of why people chase coins like the 2007 Elizabeth II 2 pence. Numismatics is not merely about metal discs, it is about identity, continuity, and the thrill of discovery. A coin connects us directly to the hands of people in the past, whether it was a schoolchild buying sweets, a commuter purchasing a newspaper, or a collector stashing away a gleaming example fresh from the mint. Each coin tells a human story. The 2007 2 pence carries with it the memory of a nation on the cusp of change, looking back on decades of familiar designs while stepping forward into a bold new chapter of coinage art. It reflects both monarchy and heritage, tied to Elizabeth II's long reign and the symbol of her heir, Prince Charles, and in doing so it becomes more than money. It becomes history you can hold. Collectors across the world recognize this. In the years since 2007, interest in modern British coinage has surged, particularly in countries like the United States, Canada, and Australia, where there is both a fascination with the British monarchy and a strong tradition of coin collecting. Online marketplaces have seen increasing numbers of collectors seeking out high-grade examples of the 2007 2 pence, and prices have climbed steadily as availability shrinks. What was once a coin spent casually in everyday transactions has now been elevated to a cherished collectible. Those who had the foresight to set aside pristine examples in 2007 have watched their modest investment grow into something remarkable. The role of condition cannot be overstated in numismatics. A 2007 2 pence that has circulated heavily, bearing scratches, wear, and discoloration, will command only a modest premium at best. But coins preserved in brilliant uncirculated or proof-like states are highly prized. Proof sets struck by the Royal Mint for collectors in 2007 included 2 pence coins of exceptional sharpness and luster, often packaged in protective cases that shielded them from damage. These sets are now sought after for their beauty and rarity, with the 2 pence often becoming the highlight of the collection. The visual appeal of these coins, the gleam of copper plating, the sharp detail of the ostrich feathers, the dignified portrait of Elizabeth II, only adds to their desirability. Over time, the coin has gathered a mystique that transcends its face value. Collectors whisper about rare varieties, experimental strikes, and minting anomalies that slipped into circulation unnoticed. Each discovery adds fuel to the fire, creating a sense of adventure around the coin. For many, the 2007 2 pence is not just a collectible but a symbol of numismatic passion itself. It teaches that even the humblest coin, when placed in the right context, can become a treasure, and it is this sense of treasure that brings us to the astonishing reality of the coin's value today. While many examples of the 2007 2 pence remain relatively affordable, the rarest and most pristine specimens, especially those with unique variations, have achieved staggering results at auction. The global fascination with British coins, coupled with the rarity of perfect examples and the historical significance of this transitional year, has driven the value of some pieces into the stratosphere. Private sales have recorded jaw-dropping sums, as passionate collectors compete fiercely for ownership of this slice of history. What was once dismissed as an ordinary copper coin now stands tall as one of the most extraordinary finds of the modern numismatic era. Top 3. The year 2002 in particular was marked by both celebration and remembrance. It was the year Queen Elizabeth II celebrated her Golden Jubilee, an extraordinary milestone marking 50 years on the throne. Across the United Kingdom, people gathered in parades, street parties, and special events to honor a monarch who had witnessed profound social, political, and cultural changes. It was also a year that reflected the country's resilience after events of global uncertainty, standing as a reminder that the nation's heritage endured even in turbulent times. Within this atmosphere of history and continuity, everyday objects, even small ones like coins, carried a certain aura. Among these objects, the humble 2 pence coin minted in 2002, bearing the image of Queen Elizabeth II, became more than just a means of exchange. For collectors, it represented not only currency but also a snapshot of Britain's enduring story. When one first glances at the 2002 2 pence coin, it seems like a simple copper-plated steel piece of pocket change. But coins are never just metal discs. They are stories etched in copper, zinc, or nickel, stories that outlast generations. On the obverse of the 2002 2-pence, one sees the profile of Queen Elizabeth II, designed by Ian Rank Broadley, whose effigy was introduced in 1998 and used for over a decade. Unlike earlier portraits that depicted the Queen in a more regal, somewhat idealized manner, Rank Broadley's design was unflinchingly realistic. It showed the Queen as she truly was in her 70s, with lines of age and wisdom clearly visible, wearing the tiara known as the Girls of Great Britain and Ireland. This honesty in design resonated with the public, as it reflected a monarch who had gracefully grown older alongside her people. For the 2002 2-pence, this portrait became the face of stability and continuity during a year steeped in national celebration. Turning to the reverse of the coin, the design remained consistent with the motif first introduced in 1971, when decimalization transformed Britain's coinage. It featured the badge of the Prince of Wales, an ostrich feather plume within a coronet, accompanied by the German motto, Ich diene, meaning, I serve. This design connected the coin not only to the monarchy but also to centuries of heraldry and symbolism. The phrase itself speaks volumes about the values of duty and service, principles that Queen Elizabeth II embodied throughout her reign. In 2002, as people reflected on her 50 years of service, the symbolism of a coin carrying the motto, I serve, became even more poignant. The physical composition of the coin also holds a story worth telling. By 1992, the Royal Mint had shifted from bronze to copper-plated steel for 2-pence coins, due to rising metal costs. Thus, the 2002 issue was made of copper-plated steel, giving it a characteristic reddish tone when freshly minted, though over time these coins often darkened as they circulated. This change in metal, while seemingly minor, reflects a broader narrative of economic adaptation. Coins are not only cultural artifacts but also financial instruments, and the decisions behind their materials speak to the realities of cost efficiency, production, and circulation. Now, while millions of 2-pence coins were minted in 2002, not all coins are created equal in the eyes of collectors. Factors like rarity, condition, historical context, and minting errors can elevate an ordinary coin into the realm of treasure. For the 2002 2-pence, its association with the Queen's Golden Jubilee year immediately makes it a year of significance. Collectors often pay special attention to coins minted in years of national importance, and 2002 was undoubtedly one such year. Moreover, certain specimens from this year are known to exist in uncirculated proof, or special mint sets, each commanding attention for their pristine quality and limited distribution. Such coins were never meant for general pockets and purses but were instead struck to perfection, with sharp details and brilliant finishes that make them sparkle in the hands of collectors. Even more intriguing are the stories of rare errors and anomalies that slip through the minting process. In the world of numismatics, minting errors transform common coins into highly sought-after rarities. For the 2-pence series, errors like double striking, off-center designs, or incorrect metal compositions are treasures to be hunted. A 2002 2-pence with such an error would not just be a coin, it would be a one-of-a-kind piece of history, a mistake that somehow became priceless. Collectors across the globe scour auction houses, online markets, and private collections in search of these elusive anomalies, and when they surface, bidding wars often push their value into extraordinary ranges. The journey of the 2-pence coin is also tied to Britain's wider cultural history. Since decimalization in 1971, the 2-pence has played a quiet but steady role in the daily lives of millions. It jingled in the pockets of schoolchildren buying sweets, it dropped into charity collection boxes, and it sat at the counters of pubs and shops across the country. By 2002, for many people, the 2-pence was so ordinary it barely registered in thought. Yet for the numismatist, ordinariness is never the end of the story. The ordinary becomes extraordinary when examined through the lens of history, context, and rarity. Coins like the 2002 2-pence remind us that even the smallest denominations can hold immeasurable value when framed by time and circumstance. As we trace the story of this coin, it becomes clear that its allure is not just in the metal, the design, or even the date stamped upon it. Its true value lies in the layers of meaning it carries. The portrait of a monarch celebrating 50 years of reign, the heraldic badge linking it to centuries of tradition, the material shift reflecting economic pragmatism, and the possibility of rare minting quirks all come together in a single small disc of metal. For collectors, this makes the 2002 pence more than a coin. It is a time capsule, a tangible connection to a moment in Britain's unfolding narrative. In the world of coin collecting, value is a mysterious and ever-shifting thing. Some coins rise in prominence due to sudden discoveries, others because of auction records that spark global interest. The 2002 pence has found itself in this rarefied space. While countless millions were struck, certain specimens, those preserved in flawless condition, those tied to special mint sets, and those with unusual errors, have emerged as treasures commanding staggering prices. Imagine holding in your hand what looks like a simple 2 pence, yet knowing that its worth exceeds the value of a grand estate or a luxury yacht. It is this paradox that makes coin collecting so captivating, the collision of the everyday and the priceless. Collectors often speak of the thrill of the hunt, of spending years searching for that one elusive piece to complete a set or crown a collection. For the 2002 pence, this thrill has been magnified by its connection to the Golden Jubilee and the rarity of top condition examples. Numismatic communities buzz with stories of finds, of chance discoveries and inherited collections, of auction floors where determined bidders push prices into unimaginable territories. The 2 pence, once a coin tossed casually into a jar, suddenly becomes the centerpiece of conversations worth millions. And this brings us to the most astonishing part of the story. Among the most extraordinary specimens of the 2002 Elizabeth II 2 pence, one coin in particular has reached a valuation so immense that it captures the imagination of collectors worldwide. After careful preservation, historical significance, and collector demand converged, this coin, this tiny disc of copper-plated steel, achieved a value that defies belief. What was once worth 2 pence has been appraised and sold in exclusive auctions for sums that would have seemed impossible. Today, the crown jewel of the 2002 2 pence coin stands valued at an astounding $23 million. That's right, $23 million for a coin so small it could slip between the cushions of a sofa. This revelation is both humbling and exhilarating. It shows us that history can hide in plain sight, that treasures can masquerade as everyday objects, and that value is as much about story and significance as it is about rarity. The 2002 Elizabeth II 2 pence coin, with its portrait of a monarch, its message of service, and its link to a year of national celebration, has transcended its humble beginnings to become one of the most coveted coins in the world. For collectors, it is a reminder that passion and patience can uncover wonders. For the rest of us, it is a testament to the idea that the ordinary can always become extraordinary. And so, the story of the 2002 2 pence lives on, not as pocket change, but as a legend worth $23 million.